water doesn't burn. Unless you're standing here. Water doesn't burn. Unless you're standing here. The first 5 seconds hit like a punch, a fountain spurting flames into the air. Tourists gape, phones out. I step forward grinning because this is the kind of thing you can't unsee. This isn't CGI or a stunt. It's geology, chemistry, and the planet being dramatic. You and I are going on a tour of places that break every rule you learned in school. Places where water boils like a pot on a stove, where lakes preserve the dead like sculptures, where a pit in the ground has been on fire for decades. I'm going to explain exactly why each of these exists, what scientists think. Stay with me. We'll laugh, we'll be weirded out, and you'll want to drop everything to see some of these in person. By the end, you'll know why one town lets a flame keep burning for safety, and how a lake in Tanzania turns animals into statues. There's a tiny town where firefighters once faced a choice: blow out a raging flame leaking from under a gas line and risk an explosion, or let it burn and control the danger. They let it burn. It's a paradox, water bubbling with a steady orange tongue of fire. But the reason is simple. An underground pocket of natural gas feeds that flame. Decades ago, drilling and natural seepage tapped a reservoir of hydrocarbons beneath the spring. When gas reached the surface through fissures, it mixed with groundwater and, where vents escape, the gas ignites. Rather than trying to smother it and create higher pressure hazards, local authorities capped and contained it, letting it consume the emissions safely. The payoff is both practical and bizarre. The flame serves as a continual vent for gas. To roast over a pool that should, by every rule, douse flames, not fuel them. Scientists estimate the deposit could last 50+ years. A century-scale trickle of gas. The result is a place that looks like a fever dream, aquatic plants lapping at a shoreline while flames lick the air and families taking selfies. It's a lesson in how sometimes the safest, smartest engineering looks exactly like chaos. Lake Natron is the kind of place nature uses to tell a horror story. Its water is so alkaline, pH levels that would melt metal in extreme cases. Animals that die on the shoreline are chemically calcified, their bodies preserving into eerie, stone-like figures. It looks like a museum of petrified wildlife, posed forever in the moment of death. The cause is volcanic. Nearby volcanoes leach sodium carbonate trona, raising alkalinity and temperature. Minerals concentrate until the surface shimmers with a crusty, almost glassy texture. Birds that land and can't escape get coated in mineral deposits before decomposition can begin. Scientists say it's not supernatural, it's chemistry. When you see the angled silhouettes and stiffened shapes on the shore, the effect is cinematic. Flamingos still breed here because parts of the lake are habitable. There's a surreal contrast between thriving colonies and frozen corpses. For visitors and conservationists, the lesson is double-edged. It's a fragile, extreme ecosystem that supports life in unexpected pockets while preserving death in plain sight. There's a tiny waterfall in upstate New York. Tucked behind the sheet of falling water, a flame burns in a recessed grotto. It's called the Eternal Flame Falls, water rushing down. A small orange flame licks rock and steam. How? A pocket of natural gas percolates through shale. It escapes behind the cascade and ignites where it meets oxygen. The flame is small, more like a candle that refuses to go out. It's stable and known to locals. Some claim Native American reverence, others point to early settlers who used it as a landmark. The modern explanation: methane seeping through faults sustains the burn. A reminder how geological quirks create tiny miracles. Unlike the Texas spring, this flame is modest, sheltered, oddly peaceful. A fireplace behind a curtain of water. invites quiet reflection, and the occasional group photo. Scientists monitor the flow and composition changes in stream flow. Human interference can snuff it. For now, the cave keeps its little flame and hikers keep their cameras ready. Darvaza, Turkmenistan, a crater the Soviets accidentally opened while drilling in the 1970s. When the ground collapsed into a cavern filled with natural gas, geologists feared methane would poison the region. Their solution was drastic: ignite it and let it burn off. The fire has been going ever since, a gigantic hellish maw in the desert that glows at night like a cathedral for the apocalypse. The scale is absurd: a 70-meter-wide crater with tongues of flame and a constant thunderous burn. Locals, adventurous travelers, make the trek across miles of nothing to reach that rim and peer into a burning earth. Satellite images show a glowing dot in the middle of a barren plain, an ember that refuses to cool. The origin was man-made, but its persistence is a natural lesson in hydrocarbon longevity and human hubris. Attempts to extinguish it would be risky, and the flame itself vents gas in a controlled, visible way. It's become both a scientific curiosity and a grotesque tourist attraction. Standing on the rim at night, hearing the roar and feeling the heat on your face, you understand why it's called the door to hell. The human decision to burn it out created a decades-long portrait of fire and geology colliding. Imagine an entire lake that's basically a massive hot spring steam rising in constant columns, water churning like a giant pot left on a furious stove. That's Boiling Lake in Dominica, a cathedral of geothermal energy tucked in an active volcanic zone. The water's surface is a roiling gray orchestra of bubbles and vapor, and the air tastes faintly of sulfur. The heat comes from subterranean volcanic conduits, heating water until it boils, and the lake's temperature can vary wildly. Sometimes the surface is calmer, other times it's a violent, seething cauldron. Hikers who reach its rim speak of the sound first, a steady, deep rumble like a distant engine. Then the sight: a gray blanket of steam with tongues of hot water breaking through. Access is difficult and dangerous. The hike is long, the terrain wet and treacherous, and eruptions of steam can scald. Scientists study water chemistry and temperature to monitor volcanic activity. For locals, the lake is woven into folklore. For volcanologists, it's a living lab. The sensory detail is the point: smell, sound, steam. And the visible obsession of earth heat turned into an entire body of water. It's not just hot, it's an elemental performance. On the Brule River, there's a waterfall that splits, half flows downstream, half drops into a pothole called the Devil's Kettle. For decades, people wondered, where does the water go? Does it feed some hidden underground river? Is it a subterranean abyss swallowing everything? Scientists poured dye-floated GPS-equipped objects. They monitored flow rates and temperatures. The surprising result: most tests show the water rejoins the river downstream, likely through complex subterranean passages, porous bedrock. The mystery shrank, but the myth remained. The visual is arresting: a smooth, dark whirlpool where a roaring waterfall becomes nothing. The paradox is psychological. The unknown swallowed our curiosity, but evidence resolved the physics. Still, the idea of a river losing half its flow into a hole that you can peer into and feel swallowed by is unnerving. Visitors stand at the rim and toss pebbles, watching them disappear with a hollow thunk. The Devil's Kettle is a reminder of how the planet hides engineering-grade plumbing beneath landscapes, and of how the human mind fills gaps with story. In the frigid wastes of Antarctica, a waterfall bleeds red across immaculate white ice. Close up, red flow on white ice. Blood falls is not gore, an iron-rich hypersaline outflow that oxidizes on contact with air, staining the glacier in shades of rust. It's a jarring, beautiful anomaly, crimson on white, and, once again, chemistry is the storyteller. Deep under the ice, ancient seawater trapped and chemically reduced has become loaded with iron. When that briny water escapes through fissures, and meets oxygen, the dissolved iron oxidizes and reddens, creating a cascade that looks like frozen blood. Microbial life adapted to these isolated anoxic conditions survives on chemical energy, an ecosystem built on iron chemistry rather than sunlight. Scientists study blood falls to learn about extremophiles to model potential life on icy moons. The site offers a dramatic photo op and profound scientific insight. It's a reminder that life can persist in conditions we'd call inhospitable. The visual is powerful, a slow, steady vein of red winding down a glacier, bleeding color into a world of monochrome ice. It's eerie, but it holds keys to biology and planetary science. The Great Blue Hole, Belize, a submerged sinkhole of wonder. Off the coast of Belize lies a perfectly circular, inky blue chasm in the middle of turquoise shallows, the Great Blue Hole. It's a marine sinkhole formed when sea levels rose and flooded a karst landscape, creating a dramatic vertical drop that dives hundreds of feet. From above, it's a perfect dark pupil in a face of reef. Divers flock here to explore galleries, stalactites, startling depths. The transition from bright reef to the abyssal black is surreal. Light falls away, water temperature and visibility change. The sense of scale bends your mind. Geologically, it tells a story of Ice Age's sea level rise, limestone dissolving. Ecologically, it's a unique habitat where nutrient flows currents create brief windows of life in unexpected places. Tourism is regulated to protect the formation. Its mythic image is global. Standing on a boat above that circle, you feel tiny. The Great Blue Hole is beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. A reminder that the ocean has vertical geometry we barely grasp. Catatumbo Lightning, Venezuela, nature's never-ending light show. At the mouth of the Catatumbo River, where it meets Lake Maracaibo, the sky is almost always dancing with lightning. This is Catatumbo Lightning, near-constant electrical storms, up to 300 nights a year, for up to 10 hours a night, producing thousands of strikes. It's a natural wonder, as much climate and geography as spectacle. The effect is driven by local wind patterns, warm marsh gases, topography that channels storms over the lake. The result, a chandeliered sky. Locals used it to navigate ships at night. Scientists still study these persistent convective systems. Pilots and sailors used it as a beacon for centuries. The sensory impact is cinematic, a horizon stitched with forks of lightning. Atmospherically, charged particles meeting humid air in repeating conditions. Photographers set up for nights to capture rhythmic flashes. Researchers install monitoring arrays to study the physics. Catatumbo reminds us weather can become place-specific performance, less a single feature than a persistent atmospheric character. Pamukkale, Turkey, terraces carved by mineral water. Pamukkale looks like a frozen waterfall made of chalk. Bright white travertines stair-stepping down a mountainside. Centuries of mineral-rich hot spring water depositing calcium carbonate created pools that gleam like ivory cups filled with blue water. It's pristine, improbable. A spa destination since Roman times. Natural wonder meets human history. Hierapolis used these baths for healing ritual. Ruins nestle into the white terraces. Terraces change year by year as water flows and deposits minerals. The landscape is ancient and alive. Preserving Pamukkale required controlling tourism. Past, unrestricted foot traffic and hotels damaged deposits. Now access is regulated. Designated pools are kept for visitors so main terraces can recover. The image of people in blue pools against a stark white backdrop is iconic. Geology and human culture braided together. Bathing architecture, mineral deposition, all layered into one bright place on Earth. Media keywords. Pamukkale, white terraces and pools. Devil's Pool, Victoria Falls, swimming at the edge of a plunge. On the edge of one of the world's largest waterfalls is a natural pool, where, for a short window each year during low water, you can stand and look over the lip into an enormous drop. Devil's Pool is equal parts thrill and trust in nature. A rim of rock forms a barrier. The current pushes you to the edge but not over. most of the time. The view is insane. One side a placid glassy pool, the other a screaming wall of water. Guides bring visitors during the safe season, and the experience is a mix of reverence and adrenaline. You wade to the edge, hold onto the rock, and peer into a throat of mist and spray. That swallows sound. The phenomenon. A fountain on fire, a lake that turns animals to stone, and I have 12 more places that make zero sense.